Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome into this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Each day holds a surprise, but only if we expect it can we see, hear, or feel it when it comes to us. Let's not be afraid to receive each day's surprise, whether it comes to us as sorrow or as joy. It will open a new place in our hearts, a place where we can welcome new friends and celebrate more fully our shared humanity. My name is Megan Kate, and I'm a member of the board here at QUUF. As we gather, I acknowledge that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the Skaalum and Chemakum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain these homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. We have a newcomers table near the patio doors where our greeters are ready to answer any questions you might have. Welcome to you all this morning. We're glad you're here. Announcements. Tuesday is the deadline for getting your primary election ballot into the mail. Don't delay. There's a low turnout reported, so your vote matters even more. Let us settle our minds and calm our hearts.
You all know the words. Feel free to sing along to this if you want, or at least hum.
Am I on? There I am. There I am. Good morning, everyone. Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and your strengths, your fears and anxieties, your loves and your hopes. For here you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place, for together we make it a holy place. It is good to be together this morning. And now we'll light our chalice. Are they there yet? There they are. Please join with me in our chalice lighting words. In the flame of this chalice, we find the light of faith, the glow of hope, the warmth of service. May we ever grow in faith, hope, and service as we kindle our own lights from its spark. Our opening song is 1026 in the Teal book, if you want to look along there. The words will be projected. It's a new one. So are you going to do some introducing, or are we just going to go for it?
That's going to play the melody all the way through, so you'll get to hear what it
All
sounds
right. Let's go.
If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a witness for peace, if every man of every nation worked from generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing there would be no more war.
We pause for a time of generosity and to receive an offering to support the life and ministry of QUUF. The ushers will come among you to receive the offering, and additional ways for giving will be projected on the wall behind me. Please join me in our offering words. This fellowship is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it.
So Pete Seeger wrote this in 1959. It's a song you all know, same deal. Feel free to sing along if you know it.
the season turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. And a time for every purpose under heaven.
So it's the old songs.
Sorry?
So it's the old songs, isn't it? The old songs.
Oh, yeah.
Every week we pause for a time of sharing joys and sorrows, and we begin each week by acknowledging that any joys and sorrows that we have are only a small fragment of the larger life community of life. So our first stone this week is placed thinking especially of the escalation that's happening now in the Middle East, and for all the folks who are experiencing impact from that escalation. Within the congregation, Celia Flickinger shares her gratitude for all the love and support our beloved community shares. She says, "We are a small and mighty community." She says, as I fight cancer with chemotherapy, I am so thankful for all the thoughtful acts of kindness, the wisdom, and deep uplifting conversations friends have shared with me and my family. She also requests a stone be placed as the symbol of her Rocks of Gibraltar, her affinity group, Mary Ann Schroeder, Susan Hempstead, and Kate Fox for these past 4 years of laughter, tears, and deepest affection. We place a final stone, holding in our hearts the joys that and sorrows I've shared, but also thinking of those joys and sorrows that are shared among us, unspoken, but no less important. Thank you. I invite you to come into a time of quiet and reflection together. Prayer, perhaps meditation, just being still within yourself. I offer these words by my colleague Thomas Rhodes. Within the space of an instant, you can make a first impression, show gratitude, kiss, change your mind, wipe away a tear, live and die. It only takes a minute to write a note, tell a joke, change a diaper, sing a song, or be still. Within an hour, you can share a meal, run an errand, make a cake or make love, attend a parade, or balance your checkbook sometimes. It takes a day to paint a room, feed a crowd, visit relatives, read a book, rest. If you commit a year, you can write a book, plant and harvest a crop, become a parent, change your life. And with your lifetime, with your life, you can and you will change the world. So may it be. Amen. So we have a special treat today. Our first reading is actually a video, and it's a video of the process that a caterpillar goes through to become a moth. So I'm going to come down and watch and enjoy. Quite the process, eh, what? Our reading is by Jan Richardson, This Grace That Scorches Us. Here's one thing you must understand about this blessing. It is not for you alone. It is stubborn about this. Don't even try to lay hold of it if you are by yourself thinking you can carry it on your own. To bear this blessing, you must first take yourself to a place where everyone does not look like you or think like you, a place where they do not believe precisely as you believe, where their thoughts and ideas and gestures are not exact echoes of your own. Bring your sorrow, bring your grief, bring your fear, bring your weariness and pain. Your disgust at how broken the world is, how fractured, how fragmented by its fighting, its wars, its hungers, its penchant for power, its ceaseless repetition of the history it refuses to rise above. I will not tell you this blessing will fix you, but in the place where you have gathered, wait, watch, listen. Lay aside your inability to be surprised, your resistance to what you do not understand. See then whether this blessing turns to flame on your tongue, sets you speaking, what sets you to speaking what you cannot fathom, or opens your ear to a language beyond your imagining that becomes as a knowing in your bones, a clarity in your heart that tells you that this is the reason you were made, this ache that finally opens us for this struggle, this grace that scorches us toward one another and into the blazing day. There ends our readings for the day.
Okay, what better idea of transformation than seasons of the year? And I wrote this song when I was 16 years old. Spring sings a happy song again in the wind. New flowers sing along. They say, hey, it's a beautiful day to unfurl to a world once cold, cold and gray. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. I've seen a daffodil sing her anthem to spring in gold. Bumblebee flies free through the lazy hours. With all his heart he takes part in the art of the flowers. The robins are bobbing the cool of the shade. By the squirm of a worm breakfast is made. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. Warm summer days soon appear, bringing warm sun rays so near, as they have throughout the years since time untold. Now the wind is the friend of the earthly pleasures, fall the recall of all the green treasure. The people rake and sigh, wondering why all the seasons have no reasons, they come to just die. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. Time takes the gifts that were made, puts them into colors on parade. It's a tribute that's paid to the old, to the old. Now the winter is the center of attraction and worry. Snow and ice isn't nice, it bites, makes people scurry to hide inside by the warmth of the fire. Their woe is the snow, they freeze and quickly tire. But I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. Icicles cast colored light, snowflakes dance in the light, to a world enveloped in white and in cold. song sings a happy song again in the wind. New flowers sing along. They say, hey, it's a beautiful day to unfurl to a world once so cold and gray. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. I've seen a daffodil sing her anthem to spring in gold, in gold, in gold.
For several decades, I had a couple of lines from poet Marge Piercy that an artist friend had created in calligraphy, and I framed it and had it on my desk at work. It featured the word dance made with a thick brush in big print. And then around it was the rest of the quote. It said, "We seek not rest, but transformation. We are dancing through each other as doorways." It was while I was working to help house and support homeless teens. And I always hoped that for each of the teens that I worked with, there might be something like a transformation for their sweet souls, that their lives might be changed and safety found for them, a different life path discovered. I believed in transformation. Then some years later, at the opening worship for a collegial conference, my colleague Jane Jepka played with the theme of the days that we were going to be spending together. The theme of the conference was, "Be transformed," with an exclamation point. So that was our invitation. But Jane wasn't sure that she liked that whole idea at all. She began her sermon by saying, "Do you know what it means to be transformed?" She said, "I like you as you are just now. Transformation means that you are completely changed," she reminded us. And she wanted to be able to recognize us through the week and following. And she appreciated all of us just as we were. Over and over again, she affirmed it, good and worthy, precious, beloved warts and all. She didn't want us to lose our beauty or the singular gift we could bring to the world. She came in strong against the possibility that in 5 short days we would be made unrecognizable, that is, transformed. She was equally against the idea that being transformed at all would be a good idea. Now, I don't imagine that the conference planners were quite as amused by that as the rest of us who were sitting in the congregation that evening. And I have to admit, I have casually tossed around the word transformed. I think of it as intense change, but nothing that would obliterate what had been before, and yet that's what it really is. The idea of alchemy, you see, has been one that I've leaned into over time. And alchemy and transformation are really very linked, and at least in my understanding. It was first suggested to me way back in seminary when one of my colleagues there, one of my fellow students, talked to me about some of the hard times she'd gone through in her life. A few years before we met, her husband had died, and she told me about the experience of sitting by his bedside day after day in that leaden watch, awaiting his last breath. And that's what it felt like, she said. It felt like lead. But it was possible, she said, to turn that lead into gold, an act of alchemy, of transformation, as she sat and sang to him, read to him, did all those small acts of love that transformed the time into a festival of love and care for her. Alchemists of old sought to make that change in a crucible, the container that can withstand the ridiculously high heats that are used to transform substances into something entirely different. I'll say I've tossed the idea around routinely in my ministry, and recently I have come to a new appreciation of what it means to be transformed. These last some years have forced transformations on us that most of us would never have asked for and that we don't particularly like. The terror and destruction of the last presidential administration, the pandemic, and all those losses that linger. Disruptions to communities that haven't bounced back, chaos in our political life, the new divisions that separate us from one another. The ongoing changes that we're in for make me long for Jane's affirmations. I like the way things are, at least mostly, and I want to recognize what I've always known to be my life and the life of my community, my country, of the world. But as we know, even if we don't accept it wholly with perhaps our fingers crossed behind our backs, we know there's no going back to what was. And we don't even have a clue of what it's going to look like in a year, much less where we'll be once November rolls around. So much is being laid bare as we see more clearly long-term failures of our country, of our culture, our system of government. Everything, it seems, comes into sharper view. Transformation isn't, as we might have thought and hoped, that steady onward movement, onward and upward forever and ever, amen. That was one of our catchphrases for Unitarianism back in the day. Transformation isn't incremental, it's cataclysmic. And butterflies and moths show us just how cataclysmic that transformation is. Now, perhaps like me, you didn't understand that metamorphosis was a matter of a caterpillar making a little special home and then growing a few new parts, right? I may have known that there was the whole turning your entire being into goo and then completely building a new creation. I mean, it turned itself into goo and then came out as that beautiful moth. But I forget this every time I think about it. Transformation, dissolving the creature that has been and making it anew. And I gotta tell you, that right straight up, that is kind of terrifying. I mean, seriously, y'all, that's terrifying. You know, back in the pandemic, when we shut down, it sure felt like we were moving into some kind of transformation. All that chaos, the needing to remake ways of connecting with each other, the creativity that was required for us to just stay in contact with each other. It was exhausting and terrifying. The death toll mounted. I remember seeing those pictures of the refrigerated semis that were being used as portable morgues. All of that made us confront our own mortality much more directly than we mostly do. Our own deaths usually are just a background hum, that kind of steady hum, that little whisper in your ear that you try not to listen to most of the time. Suddenly it was more like a high wire walk each time we left our homes. In that time, in that chrysalis of time, there was that a huge awakening as well in the wake of George Floyd's death. Books by Black authors during that time, even ones that were years old, surged to the top of the New York Times bestsellers list and stayed there for week after week after week. People took to the streets. Social media blew up with hashtags promoting greater awareness, proclamations that Black Lives Matter, say her name, calls for justice to prevail. If we hadn't understood, it's not enough just to make a few changes, chant a few slogans. We learned that it was the case that we have to transform. Transformation was needed, and we continue learning and changing. And I'll say that transformation has been ongoing in this particular congregation. We've emerged from the pandemic as a smaller congregation. Some of that has come from disagreements and different visions of Unitarian Universalism, and a good portion of it is a dynamic that we share with congregations across the United States. The decline in institutional religion is well documented, and it affects everyone. There are no congregations who haven't seen a decline in attendance, membership, and participation. The shutdown, I think, has hastened a long, slow transition away from organized religion that was well underway many, many years before. You won't be surprised that I'm going to suggest that the caterpillars turning into butterflies and moths offer us a great metaphor for navigating change. We ministers love a good metaphor, you know. There's a cartoon early in my ministry, I think it was in the New Yorker, it probably was, where there's a minister coming into a room with a crib and, you know, his of course, wife next to him. And he's looking at the baby and he says, "How's my little metaphor today?" People who are married into this faith often know that they are always going to be a good illustration of something. Not Peter. I won't do that to him. See, like I said, when caterpillars turn to liquid, what happens is there are these little things, little parts that remain. They're called imaginal discs. These are what creates what hasn't been before. The wings and feelers, the legs that are ready for flight rather than crawling. This whole new creature is imagined and created that bears no resemblance to its previous self. And it's all because of these little tiny imaginal discs. Don't you just want one? I mean, don't you just want something like that? Well, I think we have some, friends. I think we have some, and we need to be paying attention to what our imaginal discs are as we continue to learn and change in the world. You know, around racism, our imaginal disc is continuing to strengthen our ability to see what has been long broken, the casual racism, as well as the deep systems that perpetuate harm to whole populations, the vast intersections with other oppressions, sexism, ableism, ageism. We must see them clearly and listen well to those who are most affected. For that work and for the work that's ahead of us as a congregation, for the change that we'll need, includes a vision for what's possible that's unbounded by what we've tried and what we've always thought we couldn't do. Another one would be a willingness to try and to fail, each time, I hope, failing better. We need places for grief, for what we are losing and will lose. And most important of all, most central, is a love for each other that is fierce and unbounded. The new statement of purpose of the purpose of our collective faith community puts love at the center, and it is truly essential for us to continue to return to it. Poet Tara Brach suggests that we be guided by the question, is this the path of love? It is the imaginal disc that we need most as we find what the future holds for us. Change is hard. I think I've shared before that somewhere in the past I came across someone who said, the only ones who really like change are wet babies. And those of us who have known wet babies know that not all of them actually like change. Change is hard. Transformation is even harder. What keeps me going is the possibility and promise of what we can create together, what good we can transform out of the hard times of our lives, and the promise of what we can create for the future. Knowing what I do now about transformations, the lessons taught by caterpillar and butterfly, I find myself returning to those lines from Marge Piercy from all those years ago. We seek not rest, but transformation. We are dancing through each other as doorways. Let us be transformed as we dance with and through each other, creating the futures with the doorways we dance through. Let us make it so. Amen. Our closing hymn today is number 128 in the gray hymnal. If you want to look along there, the words will be projected for all that is our life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for service as we give, for work and its rewards, for house of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Our closing words from Goethe. Whatever we can do or dream we can do, let us begin it this day. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. May we be bold in our loving and in our living. So may it be. Amen. Will you join with me in saying our words for extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, the transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
dark and the light, better hold on tight. 'Cause out on the edge there ain't no ledge. What you want, what you feel, fact, fantasy, is it real? Promiscuous devotion to the untrue. No hero are gonna hop out of phone booth. Stay home if you're looking for salvation. Popular imagination, it's tunnels all the way down, tunnels all the way, that's right, tunnels all the way down, tunnels all the way. Sunlight setting on a pale blue earth. Anybody's guess how we got this birth? Is it God, man, drunk, fever, dream? If you're looking for the wizard, hard on the scene. Tunnels all the way down, tunnels all the way, that's right, tunnels all the way down, tunnels all the way. Between the dark and the light, better hold on tight. Out on the edge, there ain't no ledge. What you want, what you feel, at first, is it real? Tunnels all the way down.